This is a response to a YouTube user called Awesomeartbykyle. I think that's what it was. And no, this is not my video on rational hedonism. This is a response to your video, which we were talking about equality and equality of what. You make a lot of great points in that video. You were talking about how how we are not equal because of all these things, because of intelligence and all this stuff, and all these various things. And then you also make a distinction between that stuff and the inequality between race and the sexuality and gender and all that stuff. And that's like, I totally understand that. Like, that's not how you're trying to say. It's not how you're trying to say inequality. That's not the distinction that you're trying to make. What you're primarily trying to say is that you're going against this idea, that you hear in lots of places. Like, you hear that from Lincoln and the Gettysburg Address. Maybe it was the Emancipation Proclamation. I'm not sure. But at some point he does say we are all created equal. You hear that in lots of places here. And I do understand what you're saying there. However, there is one thing I want to kind of discuss here. There is, I have a video that I called Intermagnetic Circles of Empathy, where I discuss how there's one thing that does unify all of us, that is similar in all of us, which can break down barriers of ideology and make us more prone to interpersonal attachment, which can lead to solving certain problems in the world. There is this one kind of thing that does unify all of us, and then there's lesser things like which can unify groups of people based upon having suffered certain things, like people who have PTSD, or people who got wounded in the war. That can formulate one circle of empathy, because they all understand what has happened to each other, and thus kind of assist each other in managing the suffering that they all have. Now that's a different thing, but I also discussed in that video how there's one thing that does unify all of us. That very thing is discussed in this book. It's called Towards Phenomenological Ethics by Werner Marx. Now, I think that phenomenology can unite a lot of people by this very concept of mortality that is discussed here. There are two things that are discussed by Marx in here. It's mortality and sociality. Sociality is that part in us that makes us, I guess, more prone to and better working, I guess, when we're in some sort of social circles, I guess. But there's one thing I think that does unite all of us. Sociality that does that more or less. But mortality is this notion that we are all vulnerable. We're all mortal. We are all prone to various forms of physical, and emotional sufferings. We are all prone to that. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what background you come from. It doesn't matter. Um, it doesn't matter how you can manage your suffering. You are all of us are prone to physical and emotional suffering. Whether it be having cancer and having so much pain from that, or having something wrong in here so much that you have depression. I actually have that, and I've managed it. I've managed it well. It's a genetic thing actually, but that just kind of points out to me that we are all vulnerable. We are mortal. We are all mortal in the sense that we are all susceptible to all of these possibilities of being hurt in various ways. And that one thing can unite every single person. That is the one thing that makes all of us equal. Now, Marx in his book, where he talks about sociality, that does unite a lot of us, but I think there is some parts of that thing that doesn't include everyone. I think that it can, certain people can be made to be social, but then that's a different argument to be made. But I'm just trying to argue that we are all equal, not in terms of all these things that you hear from Abraham Lincoln or any of these things that you hear in society or on media. But we are all equal in this one thing, in mortality. And if you are not mortal, if you are immune to such suffering, tell the rest of us, please. Tell the rest of us how we can become like that as well. But as far as I know, Marx is right in this book, where he says that we are all mortal. And that's something that can lead us down a path of transformation, changing our attunement, where it goes from being indifferent around others and being indifferent to most everything, to being forlorn, isolated, and lots of negative emotions, and that can change to being, attuned towards others, and that can end up being something that will guard you better in others' mortality, better than being isolated and forlorn. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. If you want to, please critique this idea. This is a book that I highly recommend getting. I am one who argues the idea of phenomenology of Edmund Husserl and Martin Heidegger, and this book is somewhat of an offshoot of theirs, but in here he goes towards formulating on ethics that's based on Husserlian and Heideggerian concepts, but also based in virtue, towards a non-metaphysical phenomenological ethics. That's pretty much what Marx does here. But that one concept of mortality can very well unite all of us and prevent lots of walls from coming up, and also promote interpersonal attachment. Yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on that.